Hey Zen fam, I've been giving some thought to the humble controller. But before we discuss that, two things I want to mention. One, the podcast you were expecting from me on Saturday unfortunately didn't happen on my channel, it happened on Tobe's channel. So if you still want to see it, go over to Tobe Gaming's channel and watch it there. It was a good one, but unfortunately due to technical difficulties, i.e. Tobe forgetting to actually take his PS4 to his studio, we had to do it over Skype and through his setup on his channel. But even though it was a little quiet to begin with, it was a really good discussion, and we both had a lot of fun. And I think me and Tobe connected somewhat, so that was nice. So we'll check the podcast out on Tobe Gaming's channel, and let me know what you think. I think we had a good wee cast. And of course, the other piece of information is the standard piece of information that every YouTuber will tell you. Please remember to rate, favourite, comment, share, subscribe. Anyway, on to the topic at hand. So, normally I try to put a video on a Thursday, but I just couldn't get my muse working. And then today what worked? My muse came to me. And I got to thinking about this. Now, we all, use something similar to this. Its buttons may be different button symbols on them. The sticks might be in a different place. It could be two side things. But all in all, when you get right down to it, a controller is a controller is a controller. They've evolved and they've grown. They've gotten more actual controls upon them. And it's like, how much further can this go? Now, yes, me and Tobe Gaming and others have spoken about the idea of this touchpad becoming a touch screen. I posited the notion on the podcast that maybe the screen could actually also do mini games, like while you're waiting in an online lobby. Could be nice. But how much more can this really do? What can we do to improve it? What can it do to evolve? It's tricky. I mean, various things have been tried. But obviously there are steering wheels, there are flight sticks. We've had motion controls. We've had camera controls. We've had the Wiimote. We've had the PlayStation Move. We've had the Wii U tablet. It's interesting when I think about the tablet. Actually, when I was trying to teach my son, when he was much younger, about gaming, so I tried to get him to use one of these, and he had a harder time with it, and still does to a certain extent as he does to his tablet. Now my kid, he plays a lot of Minecraft on his tablet. He chuffing loves it. And he plays some other little flash games and stuff, some Android based things where, thing where you collect fish and breed fish and stuff. I think it's called Splash, and other little games like that. And he's much more at home doing things on a tablet screen, where I personally believe you don't have as much intricacy of movement. I mean, this is much more tightly packed. I mean, if I hit left on the stick a tiny little bit, then it's a tiny little bit that's registered on the screen. This feels to me like a more precision instrument than a tablet screen. And as someone that's I've done a little bit of tablet gaming, and it's okay, but it never feels like it could ever replace this. Then people go, well, perhaps in the future when it's all VR or mixed reality, instead of having one of these, we'll wear a pair of gloves. Thing is, everybody's hands are different. So how are we going to get gloves that everybody can wear and that everybody can use? Now admittedly, gloves are going to be universal because we all have hands, we all have fingers, we all have thumbs, pretty much. But it's hand size, it's dexterity. I mean, think when you've shared gaming with your significant other that doesn't game, but we've all tried it at least once or twice, and we put one of these in their hands, and not only are they having to look down at the pad to figure out where everything is all the time, and we just know instinctively because we've done it forever, we forget that. But we also forget how we get around in game environments. We've learned particular rules of how a game is designed and how a game talks back to us about what the game wants us to do. Like if you're in the Division and you come up and you see a particular piece of tarp draped over a wall in a particular way, that's generally a sign that you can climb that bit of wall. But the bit of wall next to it, which is exactly the same height, you cannot. And to us who game all the time, this makes complete sense. The game has its own language, really. And to teach non-gamers that language, it's basically they have to start all over again. It is like learning a language. And when my child was trying to figure out how to do things, the first game I introduced him to, I went in too deep, I think. I introduced him to DuckTales. And he could not at all, the entire time we were playing DuckTales together, could he manage to do double jump. So any of the heavier jumping sections, I would have to handle that for him. He could do the main platforming and problem solving to a degree, given his young age, but the complex jumping, especially double jumping, was beyond him. He really struggled with it, but he persevered because he wanted to enjoy the game, and of course he wanted to spend time with his dad. So, how does gaming become more intuitive to a wider audience and extend itself into the future through this? A touchscreen on the pad can only do so much. The controls can only do so much. Is it control schemes? I mean, like, say when you're playing Tekken, you're using these, and each one of these is a body part. Now that makes complete sense, and it made complete sense to me at the time when I was really into Tekken, because I was studying martial arts at the time, and that really clicked for me. I mean, I was playing Tekken before I was studying martial arts, but once I did that, then the two things just crystallized together for me. It's like, but then I found later on in Tekken that I could like map certain controls to the shoulder buttons. Like I could map the throws, and I could map the the grapple maneuvers and stuff to the other shoulder buttons. But then is the movement is entirely realistic. There's like, could you do things where like you've got how you move here and use these, and then your thumb could be just doing separate things here that change different things about it. We had that in Absolver. Absolver, sort of like you were mostly fighting with these, and this was just changing the style of how you moved. So key setup is obviously an issue. How do we change that? That can be changed any way, anyhow you like. But at the end of it, it's all relearning basically another language. It's just a physical language instead of a verbal language. And this becomes quite the conversation when you really start to delve into it. How do we make gaming more accessible without it becoming talking down to the audience? I mean, like if I put this pad in my boy's hand, and he loves to play Burnout Paradise City with me, he loves to ram lamp posts and signs and stuff, and he basically just loves the idea of crashing. But as much as I love my boy, he can't corner for toffee. But you know what? He doesn't care. He doesn't mind, because he's happy just ramming into things. because it's a toy car. There's nobody in the car, so it doesn't not hurting anybody. You're just like ramming the car into stuff. And if he makes the car jump, he squeals with excitement. So, how do we get games to feel like we're really in control of them and there's nothing in the way? I mean, could it be like some sort of hand sensing? I mean, there are bars that have been produced over the years that are supposed to be able to sense the movement of the hands. But then, as gamers, we like this tactile thing. We have something to hold on to, and that like we can feel ourselves putting the input into the device. And of course, the devices themselves, they've got grip strips and they've got like power indicators. They've got a light bar that has different jobs, and it's the same. This is always the same. Whilst hands are always different, and limb length is different, and height is different when using camera control, motion control devices. It's like even when I was first playing early virtual reality and Reality X back in the mid-90s, I'd have the virtual reality headset on, and I'd have the little controller in my hand, little disc-like thing, fit in there, with 3 buttons on it, and a gyroscope inside. So you'd have like your weapon fire, your jump, and your item use. If you tipped it forward, you went forward. If you tipped it forward, and you tipped your head forward, if you were playing Doom, you'd run forward. You'd step to the left, or you'd strafe to the left. Fairly basic things. But then when the first time I went to play Quake, I realised I was getting shot so very much I was about to die. I tried to run out the room backwards, put my head back too far, got my head stuck because I had a processor on the back of my noggin that weighed quite a lot. I couldn't get it back up, panicked and died because I couldn't see anything but ceiling. So I didn't know how to get out of the room, and as yet I really hadn't mastered the guns yet because I'd only turned the game on about 2-3 minutes prior. So I think a conversation needs to be had for the next gen. What exactly is the controller going to be like? Will it continue in this shape, in this form, even in this style of physical controls and sticks? I mean, we've seen the Steam controller, which has got those weird sort of concave sort of silicon touch surfaces, and I gotta say I've had a go and it feels really weird. I didn't like it. And nothing wrong with the feel of silicon, but something about it felt off, it felt wrong. So I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the design is. I don't even know if Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, Google, Amazon, anybody actually knows what the next step is. Maybe you do out there. If so, I'd love to read your opinions down below. But this has definitely got my brain turning. How do we make this more usable to those who are us? And if we can do that, does that help break down the barrier between gamers and non-gamers? If non-gamers can get access to what we love, will it breed less resentment towards gaming? Will they understand why we love games? Will they themselves then become gamers? But then if it takes away the challenge factor, is that still gaming? Because that's one of the things we live for as gamers, is that bit of challenge. Is that adrenaline pump of, can I do it? Can I input the controls in the right way? Can I do it under pressure? Can I do it at the right time? all interesting questions that I think smarter people than me should hopefully be able to solve at some point in our future. Be that 5 months down the line or 5 years down the line. But eventually someone's going to crack it. Probably not me, I mean I'm just a bloke on YouTube. But nonetheless it is interesting. How much longer will this general sort of idea of a bunch of controls, a hand grip, and a mixture of analog and digital working together in a prefabricated form, how long will this continue to serve us? I think the only time I've ever really thought we could ever move beyond this was like in VR with gloves, but then like I said that would be expensive and hard to mass market for a wide variety of hand sizes. I mean, would you have to go get a fitting? Can you imagine how expensive those would be? Yeah, it doesn't bear thinking about. Or do we have to wait till we have holographic technology and then have like some sort of holodeck situation like on Star Trek? And it's like, imagine how expensive that'd be. You'd have to have a holodeck room. I game in my lounge on the family telly. I make my videos using the family telly. Everybody else is in bed right now on a Friday night. But then that's when my muse hit me to make this video. And it's often when I do a lot of my gaming when my family is out. Or when they're in bed. So perhaps a holodeck is definitely not the way. Because then I got to squeeze my gaming in when and how. And I don't have all the money in the world. So yeah, I think a holodeck is out of the question. Maybe as a large theme experience, like we have VR units in places like when I did the EVR video, which if you don't know it, you should definitely go back through the annals of this channel and search it out. I've always been very proud of that video. But yeah, I think this is definitely food for thought for you guys. So like I say, get typing down below. I'd love to know what you think. Yeah. Don't know what else to say on this. I think I've reached the end of all my ideas and stuff. I mean, yeah, we've seen people playing pads upside down in Japan and that. I think even if we add a touchscreen to this, that's pretty much the end of the evolution of this form. Apart from, faster chipsets and stuff and longer battery life. But then that's just tweaks. So what's going to be the movement beyond just tweaks? When do we go from, this to the next level, and what is that next level? Well, while I'll leave you to ponder on that, guys, I obviously will remind you to hashtag support your Scottish YouTubers. I will see you in the next video. Aye. Nae bother.